Oh, good evening, everybody. Good evening. I apologize for the technical difficulties, but at any rate, thank you for joining me this evening. I am Noelle Figueroa, aka the Anointed Pen, and I am taking time out to celebrate and acknowledge the sixth anniversary of the Poets with Purpose Poetry Workshop. The actual anniversary was on July 21st. This was kind of a last minute thing I decided to do. I apologize for this being last minute, but I've got a lot going on, and I was debating as to whether or not I would be able to do this. So I decided to squeeze in some time to pull a little something together, because I really didn't want this milestone to go unacknowledged. But at any rate, I thank you also for your support. Those of you that participated in my events, attended my events, or just supporting me, behind the scenes. However you chose to support me and Poets with Purpose, I just want to say thank you. Poets with Purpose wouldn't be where it is today without your support and acknowledgement. And I really appreciate all of you that take the time to show love and support for this platform that I created. For those of you not already familiar with me, I am Noelle Figueroa, also known as the Anointed Pen or the Poet. I am a poet, author, blogger, workshop facilitator, and event host, and I established Poets with Purpose back in 2018. Excuse the error. This is actually supposed to say year six. Ha ha ha. There we go. So yes, Poets with Purpose is now in its sixth year, and the purpose of this workshop or this poetry group is a few things. One of the goals is to provide community exposure to poetry and spoken word. You can never have too many poetry platforms, so I decided to create one of my own, with the goal of just making space for those that love poetry, for those that read, write, and perform their poetry. I wanted to make a space for all of us to come together, regardless of your background, regardless of your level of poetry involvement, whether you're just starting out or whether you've been in poetry for a few years or several years or even decades. No matter where you are in your poetry walk or poetry career or poetry pursuits, there is a space for you here. And I pride myself in having the desire to bring people together of all backgrounds, to just share the love and joys of poetry and spoken word in general. Also, another goal is to develop communication and presentation skills. Some people are new to poetry, some people have been doing this for years, but no matter where you are, it's always an opportunity, to develop your communication and presentation skills whenever you step up to the mic. Also, to build confidence as a writer, to find inspiration and to be a source of inspiration, and and to provide opportunities to collaborate with projects. Now here, I'll be scrolling through the next few minutes. These are some of the past events that have taken place. As you can see here, this was my very, very first poetry workshop slash open mic that took place on July 21st, 2018. And I had the honor of Abike Farley, now Abike Farley Draven, to be a feature at this very first event. And then I was able to host a poetry workshop at a restaurant called the Noodle Shop and Bar in Newark, New Jersey. Unfortunately, the restaurant doesn't exist anymore, but I want to thank Suzanne Jablonski, excuse me, for suggesting the opportunity and for making arrangements for me to hold the workshop there. I appreciate her support in making that happen. Hey, Karina, good to see you. So that was definitely a great that was definitely a great gathering overall. And then I also want to take time to thank my pastor overseer Aurelia Jamat and and um, and also former pastor Bishop Roberto Jamat, may he rest in peace. They were both very instrumental in allowing me to host several open mics at my home church, Nazareth Christian Fellowship, which is in Brooklyn, NYC. Hey Erica, good to see you. Glad to thank you for joining in. Good to see you. Yeah. My pastors have been very instrumental in encouraging me to pursue my gifts and making space for me at the church to share my gifts. So I'm grateful to them for doing that. And Scribes Cafe was one of the was another open mic slash workshop that I was able to have at my church back in October of 2018. Now I'm very excited about this one. Lyrics in the Library in October, I believe it was 2018 or 2019. I had the honor of hosting a workshop at the residence of my, you guys, you could say my number one poetic inspiration, Langston Hughes. This event was located literally inside of his house where he used to live. So I was honored to 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 be able to have a, an intimate session there, and I can't recall the name of the group or the organization that was running it at the time that allowed me to have this event there. Unfortunately, to my knowledge, that group no longer exists. However, I believe they did start having open mics there again, but I don't know who's running the program at this time. I have to look into that because I definitely want to go back there at some point. It was truly exciting to literally be able to have an event of my own in the former home of one of my poetic inspirations. It was truly an exciting time had there, as far as an event that I conducted of my own. And next up, back at my church, we had November Notations. Similar in fashion. Open mic workshop conducted in November of that year. And then there were additional Scribes Cafe events back at the church back in March of 2019, and then in January of 2022. Now, Vino and Verses is another segment of events that I pulled together. I encourage everybody to grab their favorite glass of wine, and pull up a chair, and to listen to some great poets. Just all about chill vibes and great poetry. And these events were held, I believe, in 2022 and in 2023, and I had the honor and pleasure of these poets taking part. Like Katsusia Apollon, the Dravens, Pam Osby, also known as Mocha's sister, James Ellerby, Felix Guzman, Octavia Wisdom Jackson, Rescue Poetics, and Amira Shabazz Bilal. And I also want to shout out Karina G. Lopez. She has also participated in my events, and you'll see her pop up in one of the later flyers that I'll be showing you coming up. Next up, I did a couple of events for Black History Month. The first one was in 2021, where I was honored to connect with, for the very first time, with Talina Lachelle Queen. And I believe she's one of the reasons why I was able to connect with a whole slew of poets from New Jersey, which includes Rescue Poetics and so many others that I've had the honor and pleasure of connecting with. And then in the following year, I was excited to connect with Dara Kalima. She was a feature. And also sidebar, I should mention that some of these poets you may see me mention or hear me mention, I've had the honor of interviewing them for my podcast, the PWP Sessions. Another segment that I did, for to hold during Poetry Month was called Spotlight on the Scribes. So back in 2021, I gathered together Ludi Wooten, Paula Ralph Burkett, Alicia Gonzalez, and the artist Anubis for the first session. And then the following year, I pulled together Terry E. Carter, Emily Viewegg, Dwayne Gray, and Sonia Stuckey. And also, I should note that all of these events are posted on the Poets with Purpose YouTube channel for your reference. If you've never seen, if you weren't able to attend these events, or if you've never seen these events, everything's archived on the Poets with Purpose YouTube channel. And next up were my previous anniversary celebration open mics, which featured some more great poets such as Robert Gibbons, Alicia Gonzalez, Tanika Wilder, Ludi Wooten, Natasha Beautiful Thought, Jacob Moses, Crimson Red, Douglas Kala, and Terry E. Carter. Now for these next two sessions, I returned with Spotlight on the Scribes last year, but I did a special edition for Women's History Month, and I was honored to connect with again Amira Shabazz Bilal, and for the first time I connected with Carmen Bardiguez Brown for that event. It was an awesome time celebrating women and celebrating women poets overall. It was an outstanding evening, and I'm looking forward to doing that again at some point. Next event, I went back to my church for an open mic called Let Fresh Fire Fall. This open mic was more spiritually focused. I am a Christian, and I do write faith-based poetry. Most of it, not all of it, but some of my poetry is faith-based, and I wanted this open mic to focus on faith-based poetry. But in spite of that, it was open to everyone. Not all poetry had to be faith-based. I just extended the invitation to invite people to share faith-based poetry. But different types of poetry was shared at this event, and it was a great time. It was a beautiful session, and I look forward to doing that again soon. This one I was excited about because this was the first time I did an event for Hispanic Heritage Month called Hablamos con nuestros bolígrafos. We speak with our pens, and I was excited to have Karina G. Lopez, Michelle Antoine, L. David, Tessa Mattiella, Rescue Poetics, and Porter Rock as features for this event. I was honored and grateful to connect with these poets, celebrating Hispanic heritage and highlighting Hispanic poets, and again that turned out to be a great session, and I'm looking forward to doing something like that again sometime in the future. This event I'm very excited about. I was invited by natureculture.net to gather a few poets for a segment for a time slot, I should say, at their event called the Authors and Artists Festival. Back in November 2023, I was honored and grateful to gather together Julie Bolt, Tanika Wilder, Felix Guzman, Tessa Mattiella, Carla Sherry, and Amira Shabazz Bilal. Phenomenal poets. It was a great time. It was a great time. The theme for it was rewilding. So we were welcome to share poetry within that theme, I believe, but it wasn't mandatory, but that was the theme of the event. But powerful poetry was shared, a time was had, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. And I hope to connect with Nature Culture again soon. And again, this event, just like all the others, you can find on the Poets with Purpose YouTube channel to view at your leisure. Now this one really was hyped about. Hey Carrie, love you. Thank you for tuning into the live. Thank you so much. This one I'm excited about because the New York City Poetry Festival is like the Super Bowl of poetry festivals for New York City. And I was honored to be able to get a time slot on the Blackbird stage for July 13th of this year. And I was once again grateful to call up again Douglas Kala, Jacob Moses, and Crimson Red, and also for the first time connecting with Felicia Rochelle. They were all features along with myself on the Blackbird stage, and we had the stage lit. The rain, it was raining, but the rain stopped by the time we hit the stage. So it was an exciting time. Connecting with some familiar faces and seeing some new ones, and just sharing the energy and the joy and the passion for poetry. It turned out to be a very beautiful sunny day. It was nothing but positive vibes and inspiration all around. And I want to thank these awesome individuals for taking part in helping to represent Poets with Purpose as a whole. It was truly an awesome time that day. Oops. Now at this time, I'm just going to take a few minutes to play a couple of YouTube videos of past events. So especially for those that may not be familiar, to get an idea of what Poets with Purpose is all about. So I'm going to start off with We Speak with Our Pens, and I'm just going to fast forward, and I'll highlight Karina G. Lopez to start off.
First piece is called Cauldron. Soups are spells, stews are supernatural dishes. Stir spices, sprinkle herbs, ponle sazon. Dash, dice, and dip. Root vegetables and sacrificial meats. A root to your roots, lineage and genealogy. Saffron, sage, salt, and 2 types of squash. Shock tongues, soothe souls, and lift souls. Say a prayer, keep stirring. Sip slowly, slowly swallow. Serve while steaming. Now listen. Your great-grandmother's recipe is speaking. Your grandmother's prayers are still healing. Your mother's magic is manifesting. Caldero, cocina y cultura. This dish serves as a reminder. It took a village to create you. This cauldron is more than a pot. It's your history. Jesus, no accent. Meet Jesus, born in Spanish Harlem, not in a stable. Mows the lawn in Central Park, attends a community college part-time and online. He lives with his mother, Maria. Maria sells mangoes and homemade tamales. She often reminds Jesus to say his name with an accent. He replies, "Hey Zeus." Many are amazed that Jesus' English is fluent, no accent in his voice or in his name. He likes surprising people. He understands that he is no one's savior. He is an American with an imposter syndrome. Maria, an American too, Central American. As Americans, they are not American enough. As Central Americans, they are not American enough. But Maria is grateful. She thanks God every single day because she knows her son saves her. Next piece. This next piece is a little bit emotional. This next piece is a dedication to Mr. Bobby Gonzalez, who just passed before his birthday. And it's called Tai Guatiao, which is Taino for my good friend. Taiguatiao, Nuyorican raised in the South Bronx, Sangre Taino, embedded and entwined with Borinque and African roots, multicultural motivator, mentor and mediator, messenger with a mission, dismantling misconceptions, a speaker and storyteller whose swag could see across the room, felt across the stage, experienced on the page. Silver ponytail swinging simultaneously with his long feathered earring from left to right. As he walked towards an open mic in Queens, although we have met many times, it was a time I finally understood how a Latina identified as a Native American. Why my elementary textbooks and museum trips taught me about the beauty in the Iroquois, Navajo, Apache, Cherokee, and other First Nations, they never mentioned us. We too are Native. We too are American. My Mesoamerican roots came to life as he embraced his Taino ancestors. Every word he spoke vibrated and echoed into the walls and into the ears of his audience. His teachings and lectures on indigenous heritage no longer felt distant. Tainos, Aztecas, Incas, Mayas, and Arawaks. My checkbox now answers have changed because why Latinos are not Spanish. Raising awareness, speaking and spreading knowledge, acknowledging our ancestors and early beginnings. To Mr. Bobby, the last Puerto Rican Indian, the Bronx Taino, Taino Zen, honoring ancestors with tongue and pen, along with his Nuyorican Cinderella, Miss Maria. Legendary legacy, this Jutina appreciates you. You are my poetic family. You are my friends. Hahong Dai Guartiao.
All right, y'all. So next up, for this clip, I'm gonna play a little bit from, or I should say, for Michel Antoine's poetry from the same event.
I will get right into the pieces as well. I do have 3 pieces. This first one was following a writing prompt that asked about ethnicity and culture. So this is a bit of an older piece, but I thought it was very applicable for today. When I am finished my set, I will drop my website where you can find out more information about my mental health practice as well as the books that I've published. You can find me in the buffet off Main Street in Spring Valley, piling my styrofoam tray with rice and beans, fried fish, plantains, and topping it with beeflies. The spice makes my taste buds tingle, and the aftertaste fills my soul with pride. Words of Creole bounce off the elder's tongue as my heart resonates with just a couple words. A healthy envy. And as I speak English with the cashier, I'm reminded that not fluently speaking the language makes me no less Haitian. But you can hear my pride roar through a smile, ready to burst the moment I see a Haitian flag wave. Waving in honor, waving in existence, waving in prosperity, waving in longevity. Haiti, the first Black nation. Who wouldn't be proud? But I wouldn't be whole if I didn't share why I truly have the best of both worlds. From vallenatos blasting on Sunday mornings to arepas con queso, or my favorite, arroz de coco, pescado y patacón. Barranquilla me está llamando, es el hogar de mi corazón. From the cumbia to porro, que viva Colombia, soy latina y orgullosa, mi sangre quema como el sol brillante, el lenguaje me encanta, and I can go on and on about the pride inside, but I'll let you see for yourself. Black and Latina, Haiti and Colombia, from the thickness in my hair to my lips and nose, proud like no other, thankful for my mother and father and the ancestors before them, true testament to never letting go of where you come from. Thank you.
All right, Shaw. So that's a couple of samples from We Speak with Our Pens. Now I'm gonna jump to another clip from a past event. And as a matter of fact, here's a couple of clips from the Poets with Purpose 5th anniversary celebration.
On Facebook under Tanika L. Wilder. The first poem I would like to share tonight is entitled Un Amor Que Cura. It's a bilingual poem. And it goes like this. Ámame profundamente, o no me ames en absoluto. Ámame con fuerza, con todas tus lágrimas, con una canción dulce en tu corazón. Love me deeply, or do not love me at all. Love me with strength, with all of your tears, with a sweet song in your heart. Como la luna canta en la noche, like the moon sings at night. With my bones, you cradle me with your skin. Fiercely and boldly, you paint me with your canvas of knowledge, turning me into your poetic forms of beautiful repetition. Love me beyond strict syllable counts, scribble on my capillaries and call me art. Ámame con fuerza, como el viento baila en el fuego. Bury my ebony soul into the recesses of the only gray that matters. Remembering that homes are not just physical structures, but made of people that look like you and I. People that love fiercely, deeply, with their bones, with their skin. Emotional landscapes of topography. Poem. The next poem is one of my favorites. I wrote it a few months ago and it's dedicated to Tyree Nichols. And it's also dedicated to young men of color, senior men of color, and all those who are suffering silently, who have been abused, neglected, and or mistreated. This poem is for you. It is February, and the sun snitches. They say that snitches get stitches if they stitch, but this sun does not give a hot damn because now my hand is broken and battered from scribbling these switches, so my sons are stitched, wrapped up and flattered under the lashing of a summer heat wave in February. Dear sun, you are the sun. And if only someone pointed out your rays when you shined your sun, then those rays would have never become rays to shun in favor of razor blades to cut, razor blades to blaze out your sun when someone told you that you were less than the rays that held your sun. Your midnight skin haunts me in my dreams. Your rage caged within seeps through my pores. I speak to the anger so it could cry. Cry real tears it hasn't shed since Jurassic presence. Which means the act of emoting has been calcified into your bones. Bones buried into the deep blue sea of patched up masking, bedrock denial, crimson posturing amid a voice that shuns itself from feeling. I wish someone told you that you were magic, so your tummy could be rubbed like a genie, when hocus pocus struck peasantry on your spirit, like Cinderella's mice scrambling for cheese. My son, they said you were destined for damnation, cocked your wrist to waste without hesitation, readied your mind for mental cremation, shirked your nurturing, stripped your humanity to robot, turned your name into gravy master, branded you into the heaviest master of plaster. Turned your spirit into nougat until you got by the bots you thought were human, you thought were friends, strangled by the system, lynching you by your shins. They made you lick your own grave, circumcise your penis to the holy grail of Benjamins, made you hate the reflection of your holiness in the mirror, made you taste your own dirt, told you to call it happiness, love, self-esteem. They laughed at your burial, made you wish you weren't birthed, while you gave them your blood, your sweat, your shirt. Here, rest in my bones, 'cause this lonely place won't leave me alone. 10,000 miles I roam, just to make my heart my home. Sitting on the dock of the bay, watching my time roll away. Sitting on the dock of the bay, tracing time. Time. I wish I could give it back to you. Strike the hands that turn their backs on you. I wish your feelings were fish so you could swim freely with the placenta spirit birthed in you. Knowing that I will still love you, because love has nothing to do with the way society has trained you to think that your masculinity stinks by accepting the nurturance gifted for you. So, breathe for me. Speak to the rays I see shining in you. I wish you could see the sun I see in you. Let your rays know that the sun has risen, raising the rays of the sun in you. Let your rays know that the sun has been resurrected in you. That you are no one's gravy master. For you are a biscuit, more nutritious than Bisquick, absorbing all of what your soul runs after. Your midnight skin wakes me up in my sleep. But this time, it is not a nightmare. It is you showing me resilience in the form of a rainbow. I'm rooting for you, shedding the chains of over 404 years of oppression from my eyes to yours. And I do hope that you're always rooting for you too, because you're my son, my dearest sons. SONS. And if at any time the sun snitches, I'm glad it did, if only to save so many more from dying. Sincerely, Nika. Poem.
All right, from this same event, I'm gonna jump to Terry E. Carter's segment.
Having me join your Poets Fellowship. I think this is probably my second or third time, and I've enjoyed myself every time that we've gotten together. it's interesting because that the bio that you read is it's the bio that I gave you when we first got together. So it's a couple years old now. I just recently finished my term, a 2-year term as Medford, Massachusetts' first poet laureate. And one of the things that I'll be doing next week is welcoming aboard the next poet laureate who will be succeeding me, and then my title essentially becomes inaugural poet laureate emeritus. So, I'm looking forward to all of that. So I do want to share some pieces actually from the 6th book, which I just sent to the publisher this weekend, and hope to get hopefully a fairly rapid turnaround on it. And it's called Brown Skin and the Brilliant Sun, Poet's Opus. And all the books I've written, and again, this is the 6th one, all start with brown skin and something or other. So, and if you're interested, you, as Noel, you just said, you can see me at brownskinpoet.net. But I'm going to start out with a piece called Running My Race. You're trying to shout down my notions of critical race theory. You trying to tone down all the blackifying and brownifying and tannifying. You're trying to get me to be uncomfortable with righteous aspects of myself as you are. Not gonna do it. I'm gonna love me, see? I'm gonna love my negritude and my attitude and my aptitude. I'm gonna love my blackness and all of its diversity. I'm gonna praise my roots in all of their complexity. I'm gonna swim in the flow of the Nile and the Ganges and the Amazon and the Yangtze that's flowing in me. I'm going to thrive on the fruit of the spirit and the tripartite deity that connects me to the universality of the angels of my ancestry. I'm going to wrap my mind around the duality of my original state of captivity and my current quest for community. I'm going to revel in the multifarious vicissitudes, my soulful interludes, and my don't mess with me today, thank mood. You want me to throttle down my celebration of cultural resplendency while you ratchet up your notions of supremacy. You want to make America great again, one less brown-skinned boy at a time, 4 less little black girls at a time, hundreds fewer immigrant children at a time, thousands fewer dreamers at a time, millions fewer registered voters at a time. Today, not tomorrow, not next week, next month, or next year. But just so you know, our lives matter and won't be put to scatter. Despite the hate crimes and daily killings, the vitriol and the blood that keeps spilling, we are going to love ourselves. We are going to embrace our allies and denounce our traitors. We're going to tell our own stories and not get silenced by the haters. We're going to rally in solidarity from every single polarity. We're going to break the schism of generational racism. We're going to look through a prism of sacred humanism. God is on the side of his people. He's going to rightly divide his word and separate the called out ones into his grace and favor. You want to bend this faith to your political caprice. You want to study more war instead of spreading love and peace. You want the rallies and the protests to desist and cease. You want to own it all and make us pay the least. Yeah, we know what time it is. It's time to look to the hills from whence comes our strength, and look to extend the rainbow's length. You want God to approve your corrupted version of his word, his way, and his will, one that allows you to destroy, to steal, and to kill. You want to evangelize the secret genocide. You want to disciple generational xenophobia. You want to weaponize pulpits of rage and exclusion. You want to build walls around perverted faith confusion, and let snake oil be your living water. You want to count it all joy that you can kill a black boy. You want us to panic and run when you raise another gun. You want us to cower and shrink instead of strategize and think. Damn right. You know what time it is. Today beckons the finest hour when we'll recognize a new black power. Now will come a greater time when we're lifting as we climb. See us waking from the silence as we fight against this violence. See us gather with our friends as we march till hatred ends. Our own quest will make the country good again. Our own search will find real joy in the hood again. Our children will stand where their heroes once stood again. Democracy will mean everything that it should again. A great time is coming. Believe and don't fear. A great time is coming. It will soon be here. So I was at this tea where I had been brought on to do some reading, and there was a sister there who was really a virtuoso at the cello, and I got so inspired listening to her music and the style in which she was playing it that I wrote this piece, and I dedicated it to her. And so this is called Brown Girl at the Cello. For a moment, I blinked at what I was seeing, this chocolate hint of a Renaissance being. My ears abruptly filled with sound that made my senses rise spellbound. Was it a wistful wail or a spectral moan? Was it borrowed or was it her own? As she brought her bow across those strings, it made me reflect on 1,000 things, of how our people persevered, a race at once reviled and revered. As her fingers danced, so flowing in light, it made me recall the joy of our flight across the land to freedom's beacon, to the flame of liberty we've been seeking. The voicings of that hourglass frame removed the fear, the hurt, and the shame. It led us away from racial scorn. It led us away from hate forsworn. It led us away from love forlorn. It led us to places where grace is born. The soul at peace is how it settles. No thorns, no briars, no stinging nettles. Was it a siren song in the dead of night, or the distant horizon beckoning bright? As she brought her bow across those strings, the spirit moved and her cello sing. I watched the little girl watch and wonder, and knew in my heart the spell she was under. I thought I would weep at her earnest glance. The instrument's melody made her dance. New confidence born in this tiny frame whose life will never be the same. She saw a brown girl, just like herself, take a symphony down from the shelf, where limitation is so often placed. She witnessed the captive's lie erased. She saw that cellist pluck those strings and imagined herself as 1,000 things, the confidence born in this tiny frame whose life will never be the same.
All right, y'all. So that was Terry E. Carter, part of the Poets with Purpose 5th anniversary celebration. Now, just bear with me, y'all. I'm not going to be able to highlight everybody, but I just wanted to highlight a few people, just to give you an idea of where Poets with Purpose has been up until this point, and, to give you an idea of where I hope to be heading with Poets with Purpose in the future. So now I'm going to backtrack to another past event. And as mentioned, all events, all past events can be found here on the Poets with Purpose YouTube channel. So now, what we're going to do now, let's go back. Let's see. Let's do the Spotlight on the Scribes. We're going to jump into this segment of Spotlight on the Scribes where it was a special edition for Women's History Month. And I believe okay. So for this segment, I'm going to start off the Spotlight on the Scribes, Women Who Work Their Words. Here's a clip featuring Rescue Poetics. And with that being said, we're going to...
So here goes. I just put on my revolutionary jacket. It was hanging in the closet. I just put it on. It hangs no more. I just put on my revolutionary jacket, all worn and torn, dusted off the trauma of lives lost in the name of freedom, of basic human rights. I just put on my revolutionary jacket, pulled it from under the basket covered by memories of life's other jackets. I just put on my revolutionary jacket. I just pulled it from underneath the lies of capitalism. I had it to hide the revolutionary of self. I look in the mirror, no longer recognizing the revolution that once burned in my eyes, patches of the past protest, stitched down the front, heavy from grief, slumping my shoulders down. Where did that fight go? Superpowers dulled by daily dichotomy to what came to the power of transformation. Where did the light go? Stripped by media's constant and persistent, unrelenting onslaught of rebellious squash, honoring those who didn't make it instead of celebrating the living, the fighters, the new revolutionary tactics. Where did the belief go? Staring into the mask of fear, oppression, scratching away unity, accepting false legends from false prophets as they collect our jackets, claim them as their own. Who are we without those stories, but safe in the pockets of our jackets? What revolution do we see when the clothes used to define us wrap around and tie behind us? I just put on my revolutionary jacket. It was hanging in the closet. I just put it on. It hangs no more. It's been too long in the dark, covered in plastic to oppress its magic. I just put on my revolutionary jacket. Form fit to my ribs, great sleeve, just right, threads hugging my backbone, giving me strength, ready for the front line. Buttons in line and in time, recollections of ideals in their shine. I just put on my revolutionary jacket. When are you putting? Thank you. And that was called Revolutionary Jacket. This next piece that I'm going to share with you is recently shows up in the anthology, in the Moonstone anthology, and it's called Stories. And it's perfect because the theme for 2023 Women's History Month is Those Women Who Tell Us. Cut loose the chains of things past, shed of that which once bound me. I use my voice to awaken the strength of those with hopes and with dreams. Within my voice, strong and true, words spoken to share the life I bring to bear. Experiences I survive, scars that will never lie, even those stories. My mark I leave as no worldly possession, mountains that reach beyond the horizon into new ages, not in the voice of a prophet. With the convictions of a poet in a story begun long before me, I am here but to carry on the chronicle of my ancestors, goddesses of life's past, those who have shaped the opening of freedom with their sacrifices, their magic, their stories. I live, melodic memory, stretched beyond time into generations and generations and generations, a constant evolution to the next, bringing with me the light of those who seek to voice their own stories. Her stories, our stories, one and all, roars of queens, their hearts and units. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
Me too. I actually have my book this time. I think the last time I was on,
Oh, sorry, y'all. Next up is here in this clip is some poetry by Terry Rose Jurtson.
I didn't have the book yet. So this is the cover of the book. It's called
Awesome.
The Chameleon Chronicles. If anyone's interested in a copy, you can contact me on social media. My social media on Instagram is The Chameleon Poetic. And on Facebook, it's just my name, Teresa Rose Jurtson. Or you can also get it through Red and Green Books. So I'm going to read a poem that was also featured on an NPR with Yvonne Booz a while back, called Little Bird. Little bird, where are you going after you leave your first home? Will you fly off to start great adventures, or remain hidden, refusing to roam? Will you meet your partner for life, or will you cower and die alone? No, spreading your wings to rise to astonishing heights, that is my prayer for you every night. Little bird, your mama knew when it was time for you to soar. She gave you the push that you didn't ask for. And I also have photographs and drawings in my book as well that are done by me. So that's the first piece. Was looking for this other one that is called Living Like a Tree. Not sure what page it is on. It's my problem. Go to the contents. Hold on, sorry. Later. Resting is for the dead. I will push on. I won't lay down and die. My will is stronger. Yes, a strong will should get me through this life despite its troubles. I will be planted and strong, like this tree, forever bending with the gales, storms, hurricanes of the world. I will not topple. I will flex, almost to break, but not breaking. Leaves will fall. Branches may shed. But the purpose is to stand tall as a testimony to those that were cut down. Thank you.
All right, y'all. That was a good flashback from Women Who Work Their Words. Now, as a reminder, to see the full clip of these events, you can go to the Poets for Purpose YouTube channel to see the events, all the events that you come across in their entirety. So I'm going to backtrack now and pull up another one from the archives. Let's see here. Now we're going to jump into the first spotlight on the scribes. Or we'll go back to it rather. But this time I'm going to pull up some poetry by the artist Anubis.
Greetings, everyone. It's been a blessing just listening to all you guys' poetry. It's been super dope stuff. So I'm just happy to be here. But yeah, so I'm Anubis, and I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna give you guys four pieces. But I suppose I should you know what? First and foremost, I am not set up for the way. This is a new computer, so it is a wider screen than I'm used to. All right. So anyway. But yeah, so I'll give you guys a little introduction to who I am. So, who am I? I be Anubis. I be an oversimplification of newness, like newborns conceived behind cages, ribs. I be past lives pushing fetus into suicide dive, dodging umbilical nooses, drowning in the wine, dying to live, dying to escape womb like escape room, blinded by bright lights like bad boys wondering what you gonna do before your tomb. I be tomb without stone. I be ear without phone, I be skin without tone, cause whether or not you see me, I am there. Whether or not you hear me, I am here. And no matter what palette of paint you pick to betray me, I protect you from atmosphere. I be atmosphere. The air to the air, what some don't understand and others at most fear. I be what most fear, I be death. But is not death the most faithful friend of life? Motivating the greatest times of your life within your lifetime. So whether or not time flies, you're flying through life. I run life like it's running out of time. I be time. Clocking you while you waste it. Watching every TikTok. So every minute, second, hour, hands pray for more. I be a god of the afterlife. Not Jesus Christ, but I give you everlasting life. Because they say when a writer falls in love with you, you never die. So I wrote your name in the stars. I write your name in my scars, bleeding acid into concrete, buried deep under a bomb shelter, engraving the double helix of your DNA in hieroglyphics, so generations you'll give birth to will rebirth you. I'll be rebirthed. The personification of reincarnation. The spoken word of Malcolm to the rhythm of Langston, escaping the cage of Shakespeare form. I'll be formed in my mother's womb. Pushed head first by past lives through ribs in suicide dive. Dodging umbilical nooses, drowning in the wine, dying to live. Who am I? I be an oversimplification of newness. I be my ancestors' dream that a Negro unbound is supreme, but you could just call me Anubis. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Yes. All right, y'all. So that was the artist Anubis. And let's see here who else I can pull up in the archives. As I stated, I can't get to everybody, but everything is archived on YouTube for your viewing pleasure. Let's see here. All right, let's get into the Black History Month vibe. And we're going to now hear some poetry by Robert Gibbons.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, you
Okay.
good.
I want to plant an old soul in new ground this time. This death of death, the mass of everlasting. The year has become a pure spirit, a disappearance of the great matriarchs and patriarchs, saints and ancestors. I want to plant an old soul in new ground, and who will be left after the judgment, after Harriet Tubman, great Sojourner Truth meets Deborah and Ruth. I want to plant an old soul in new ground, to call us the new black, the new white, the new color, the renaissance of the African Renaissance. And he died on the Congo cross, on the Coptic, with helicopter and fuselage, with a barrage of bullets into his humanity, and Robbins with Dennis, with Tutu, with the blue bloods, the new frock, the elders and the griot in this place, some underground. And what is Africa to me? Nothing to do with my American, my black boy on the corner of Lenox. Nothing to do with my brothers without, who are marginalized and penalized on the jury of their peers, their fear of a black nation, the care not to lose control. And we are a redistrict. We are a red line. We are a double standard in this old soul, in this new ground. And there are sure to be war and immigration and welfare and emancipation. And who will celebrate another born in a better way in my neighborhood, in my could, if I could, in my want, because I want. And there is a paradox. And he is pure spirit and pure voice. His history in the chariots of James Weldon Johnson and W.E.B. Du Bois, in this call to Pan-African, this negritude, and all the poets of the black bottom without language, just anger and poverty, of slaughter of bulls for sacrifice, died dancing and praising the lesser God, the rape of the Kimberley mines, the fall of Sun City, the pity of the pittance, the meager trope of this age. And the singing shall stop. The hymns shall be no more in this colonial antebellum, and do not title me reverie, more rivalry than chivalry, more killing fields than till this soil. And there is oil beneath the earth where smoke and mirth and acid and masses of burial mounds are found again. Freedom for the free in a free land. 100 sunnets burning across the bloody sky, until our end or our destruction to fuse what was what is, I remain undone.
Awesome, awesome. Awesome poem, bro. Thank you so much for sharing. Can you share where you can be found on social? All right, so now I'm gonna jump to the main feature of this event, which is Dara Kalima.
To sit and protest longer, to excel greater, breathe freer. They tell me to carry the torch that they carried from their ancestors. They urge me to march consistently, challenge loudly, move strategically, and live as if Black excellency. These are the generations old prayers that I've heard prayed in between consciousness and sleep. These are the past and present prayers prayed, the legacy-laden prayers that I am in small part an answer to. They prayed so that one day I could. They prayed so that I could. They created so that I could. They fought so that I could. They lived so that I could. So that they visit my soul during sleep, planting the giant mustard seeds filled with their prayers and hopes into me. They visit my soul during sleep, planting their giant mustard seeds filled with their hopes and dreams into me so that I too can flourish. My part is just part of their long game, and right now is my turn to play. This is what they back then prayed, and their spirits cover me today. And when I am tired, when I am weary or grief-stricken or depleted, when I feel as if there's nothing left in me, they carry me to replenishing stations, fuel my tank, encircle me in more prayer, and then send me on my way to fight some more. And I carry on because they need me to, because tomorrow needs me to as well. So my name is Dara Kalima, also known as the community poet. Thank you, Noel, for having me here. I am going to switch my background for a few moments, just so you see who this day is dedicated towards. This is my grandfather, my grandmother, my dad, my godfather, who we lost in 2020. That is my uncle we lost some years ago, his brother. This is my uncle we lost in 2021. This is their sister we lost last week. And this is Craig Sir Mumsula. So I wanted you to see who this set is dedicated to. Meet my ancestors, whether poetically or family, especially since my Aunt Annabelle just went to join her siblings. And these were the last four. There's one more who, which is not in this photo, who was alive back then, and now they're all gone. There were 10 siblings, and the 10 of the Marrows are all back together, reunited as of last week. So I just want to dedicate this set to them. So I'm gonna switch back my background now, but I wanted to show you and put an image to the people for whom I'm speaking of today. I was raised in a dry cleaners where grandma's pictures played on a tiny, staticky, portable black and white TV, where grandpa accidentally made rockets out of overboiled eggs. It was our secret, one I couldn't keep because it amused me so. My days included watching garments sway on the conveyors. Oh, how they mesmerized me. The plastic wrap almost danced. As the clothes floated in circles above us, I spun in circles with glee. My days smelled like the sizzles from when iron met dry cleaning chemicals. And the days were hot. The fans were child-sized, and I mean the size of me as a child, and were loud, bringing relief from the heat. Into my tiny frame, the space behind the counter was enormous, as was their love for me. Many lessons were learned there, as their elderly neighbors sat in the cleaners and chat about this and that and the other and that person over there. A love of my seniors and their wisdom seeped into my sponge-like brain, and so did the importance of community and family and entrepreneurialism. My grandparents owned things, ran things, they taught us things. They loved us, loved God, loved reading, and loved leading in business, in church, and home. They were pillars and a shelter and made me feel good and safe in my skin as it was, and as I was enveloped in their russet love. Grandpa held doors for Grandma, Mommy, and me, and that's why I expect the same today. But it wasn't all old school fairy tales. Sometimes it was knives hidden in the newspaper, just in case. It was so many rats that their sound was mistaken for Santa. It was burglaries and death threats, and their children almost being kidnapped. It was being labeled the rich one for understanding that next step came with sweat down backs. See, my grandparents never made it to college, but they made businesses and gifted them to their siblings while leaving little seedlings and us little seedlings, the cleaners, being the last. The only one I really remember, though my taste buds still remember, the corn or bran, flat top muffins, seared on the grill and buttered to perfection thanks to their luncheonette. And they never really thrived. It wasn't really allowed. You see, they survived the Great Migration and spat in the face of Jim Crow and jumped over red lines, but understand, even though Grandpa was a metal GI, them bills were never distributed evenly. So he scraped and saved and built a house and home on the dreams that their children could be integrated, even if it grated the nerves of the majority, even if it meant getting caught in the crosshairs and taking dives to arrive at shifting finishing lines. My grandpa was a tank. Grandma was our ministering saint, and they instilled so much in me. The lessons learned were foundational for me, and it all started in that dry cleaners full of love, tucked under the river viewing tower in the southwestern part of the Bronx. I'm gonna take a...
Okay, y'all, so that was Dara Kalima, feature for this edition of the Black History Month open mic. So now, for the sake of time, I'm just gonna highlight a couple of more poets. These poets were shown in no particular order. I just wanted to give a few samples, to take a little trip down memory lane, just to give everyone an idea of what Poets with Purpose is all about, and the different variety of poets that have that I have had the blessing to have the opportunity to interact with. Let's see who I can pull up. So going back for this edition of Spotlight on the Scribes, I'm going to pull up next another awesome poet by the name of Emily Vieweg.
Well, thank you. I don't know how I'm supposed to follow Terry. Oh my gosh. Mwah. Chef's kiss, amazing, amazing reading, Terry. I am humbled because I feel like there's no way I could compare. But I will try to just be me, so we'll start that way. Thank you so much for having me back on again. I'm thrilled to share some of my new work. First, here's my book, But the Flames. This is my first book. I'm still, of course, I'm super proud of this. It's my first full collection. I'm going to read a couple pieces from here, and then I'm going to read actually a little flash memoir that I'm working on that was actually accepted into an art installation in Minneapolis. So that's pretty cool. So I'm just going to read a couple of short pieces and then move on to my longer piece. So this first one is in the book. If I were to write as someone else, if I were to write as someone else, I would choose to be a barbarian woman who shows no fear against the black bear, striking the magnificent nightmare with my spear and gutting the animal to feed my little ones coming out from hiding in the hut. I would write about the battle of life and death. No, the battle of life and life. It would be my family versus the black night bear, but no one would win because the black knight also has cubs to feed.
Yes, excellent, excellent.
Thank you. And then for some reason, it's been on my mind how short life is. It's just so much is going on. There's so many horrible things happening in the world. I keep coming back to this piece that I wrote on a whim because I thought, oh my gosh, I'm turning 46, and that means my dad is turning 75, and we're just all getting older, and he's still with us. He's very much with us. He's retired now, so my dad is, he has a new job, which is lawn care. He's mowing his lawn every single afternoon in St. Louis, Missouri. So it's just, my dad, he's a hoot. So this piece is Woodside. When my father dies, I will crumble. My grandfather's handkerchief in my hand, the podium holding my weight. I am the oldest. I will speak of my father's gentle kindness and overwhelming optimism, his proud naivete, forever expecting the best of everyone. I will speak of him in the present tense because the day will not be real, because my daughter sang along to Grisabella's song from Cats. My son is about to shave with a bladed razor, and the clouds will look like cauliflower and broccoli. My eyes will well with months to come, unheard voicemails and unwritten birthday cards and home runs not cheered about and dance recitals not applauded to and Thanksgivings and Christmases and New Year's and birthdays, all minus one. As my mother cradles the urn to his final resting place, to the family plot in Massachusetts, to his father, mother, brothers-in-law, to his sister and nephew, I will see the plot reserved for me. Clutching Grandpa's hanky in one hand, the sweaty palm of my daughter in the other, I will catch a glimpse of my firstborn as he steadies my mother, keeping her upright through Woodside Cemetery. And I wonder, what will he say?
Good one.
All right, y'all. So that was Emily Vieweg, another phenomenal poet in her own right. For the sake of time, I'm going to squeeze in one more poet, and it's honestly hard to choose from all of these clips because every poet that I've had the honor of gracing my platform, they're all outstanding poets. Each one of them has brought something to the table, and I'm left truly inspired by all of them. So it's very hard to choose. But at any rate, for this last clip of the evening, I'm going to try my best to pick one. Let's see here. Out of all the general events, just bear with me just a moment. All right, y'all know what? For this last clip, I'm gonna play one from the most recent clip, you know, from the poetry festival about 2 weeks ago. This clip is featuring poet Jacob Moses, who also has appeared in a previous events on my platform. So here's Jacob Moses.
How's everybody doing?
All right.
All right. From my book Grimoire, this is called Toxic Positivity.
Yeah.
Toxic positivity, noxious infertility, boxed invisibility, scotch no longer filling me, knocked into senility, mockery is villainy, locked within the pillory, occidental chilling breeze. Cockamamie infancy, rocked by tunes of infamy, socked into infinity. Octets diss on symphonies. Chock full of these pills in me, Glock with bullets killing me, shocked by this hostility, crock of it instilled in me. Yes. Octaves lacking sympathy, rockets of duplicity, botched all my abilities, logic of a killing spree.
Yes.
Second one is called Palace Amusements. Here we go. Asbury Park greets me within your thin-lipped, toothy smile. At the end of every labyrinth, you straddle the seashore's yen. You are a funhouse mirror distorting my figure, yet always finding abundant embodiment within my gut. My navel yearns for that connection to amusement within these vibrant walls. Love was the product of jackpots won from slot machines dispensing ducats. Tokens tossed from one hand, arm pulled by the other hand. You were the windfall stashed within this chest of hazy nostalgia. Adulthood proves more haunting compared to the cart carrying me through those mysterious halls. Wishing I could be hypnotized just so I could catch a spoonful of what once satiated my satisfaction. When taste of the sacrament derived from riding the roller coaster before it became a cliche denoting a diagnosis, before mania surged through my synapses like a Jimi Hendrix guitar solo. After bumper cars foreshadow the accidents I face throughout these static frequencies of depression. If you were a Eucharist, I'd be an idolater. For you were the body of a god I tasted before knowing what it meant to be a righteous Jew. You were the excuse I needed to play hooky from Sunday school. You were the choir who greeted me before I possessed the voice to echo any calls I desperately needed to answer. You were the calming voice I needed before my own soothsaying emerged. Now the tongue with which I speak needs to taste the honey into which I dip my apple. Now this fruit stores nectar of passing years in a cloud, access via my digital thumbprint, repressed via my carbon footprint. Pollen is carried by a generation of workers and drones. If I left an intention on my doorstep, I'd wish for it to be carried by the westerly wind. I'd hope the corners of the crown in my castle mirrored this palace of amusements. I pray the pleasantries could be contained by the channels from which we feel joy. May our data be easy to transmit even if our devices are outdated. May said devices be reused as analog anecdotes. Let them be paperweights for the childhoods we cherish, preserving a trail back to the inner offspring struggling to spawn and survive. Thank you.
All right, y'all. So that was Jacob Moses, one of the features with me at the New York City Poetry Festival. I guess it's just a small sample of all the poets that have graced this platform over the past 6 years, and I'm honored and grateful to have each and every one of them be a part of what it is that I'm doing. It's just awesome to see such a diversity of talent, and they're all bringing something to the table. Each have a different stage presence, different subject matter, different styles and ways of presenting their work. But they all have something in common, which is the love and passion for poetry, which they share with me, and I'm just grateful to have connected with all of them. So for your reference, I'm putting the link in the chat to the Poets with Purpose YouTube channel. There you will see all open mics, all past open mics, all of the past podcast episodes, and most, if not all, of the poets that you have seen sampled here tonight. They all have been interviewed on my podcast at some point. So the channel will feature every podcast episode that's taken place, as well as all open mics conducted by Poets with Purpose, and you'll be able to see their whole. You'll be able to view all of their performances in their entirety on the YouTube channel. So as I draw this evening to a close, there's a couple of more things that I want to highlight. I'm currently running a fundraiser for Poets with Purpose. My goal is to open a bookstore that will specialize in poetry by independent authors that can also work as an event space for open mics, live podcast interviews, and other events throughout the year. The location has yet to be determined. However, I would highly consider an area that is currently underserved by bookstores, or an area that would have the greatest impact. So those of you that would be interested in making a donation to this cause, you can use this link posted here in the picture, gf.me/u/38ttyb, or you can use this link that I'm posting in the chat as well, which should be appearing shortly. Okay, there it is. Excellent. So you can use either of those links to make a donation. Any support you can give for this project is greatly appreciated. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes this celebration of Poets with Purpose 6th anniversary. I want to thank you all that tuned in tonight. I want to thank everyone, all the poets, all the poets that have performed on my platform over the past 6 years. I want to thank all the people that tuned in, that joined the audience for these events over the past 6 years. I want to thank my audience tonight viewing this Facebook Live. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate all the support and the encouragement that I receive for Poets with Purpose. In addition to the GoFundMe, anyone wanting to make a donation can do so through PayPal, Tap Media Man, Cash App, $Anointed Pen, or through Zelle, utilizing my phone number, 646-372-6230. For more information about Poets with Purpose or my podcast, the PWP Sessions, you can call me at 646-372-6230, or you can email me at poetswithpurpose@gmail.com. Thanks, Carrie. Thank you. Love you much. Thank you for your support. All of my flyers and logos, for the most part, have been designed by Eclipse Graphics. You can find them on Instagram at @EclipseGraphicsNY, or you can go to their website, eclipsegraphicsny.com. All future events, open mics, whether virtually or in person, or podcast episodes, those have yet to be announced. Future events are to be announced. I'm just sorting out some things. I don't have an exact time frame or have any plans finalized for future events, but I hope to get things in motion again to start having events consistently very soon. But in the meantime, again, you can just go to the YouTube channel and view everything for Poets with Purpose from the very beginning up until this point, all in the archives for viewing at your leisure. So with that being said, thank you all so much for tuning in. Your support is greatly appreciated. If you haven't already, you can follow me on Instagram at The Anointed Pen. If you're on Facebook, you can follow me. Look up my name, Noelle Figueroa, The Anointed Pen in parentheses. And also the Facebook group, if you haven't joined already, Facebook group Poets with Purpose. you can send an invite, and I will add you. The group is steadily growing. We're almost at 500 members, if I'm not mistaken. It's steadily growing. Poets are interacting. They're posting their events. They're posting their projects. You know, it's a good forum to network and be inspired and find inspiration. It's proved to be a valuable resource, and I'm just grateful for all that I can do to contribute to the poetry community. So with that being said, thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you for supporting Poets with Purpose. Thank you for supporting the PWP sessions. Thank you all so much. Have a good night, and God bless.